Okay, so again, coming off open date, a little different than the week before, but as far as where we're at, points of emphasis, but thought it was a good open date week and got a good challenge with Minnesota coming in. You guys probably caught their radar because they won this week, but they've been playing very well. Bowl team a year ago, solid challenge, and they'll be a good test for us.
Is there a sense that this team is just dying to get back to the field after being able to regroup and now just itching to hit somebody?
You know, to me, we had a lot of things. Good question. We had a lot of things I thought we needed to work on after the last game, and one of the comments that one of our key players said is like, "Hey, I wish we had a game this week. You know, I'd like to get out going." But we had a lot of things. Again, we took the bulk, and even through shoot as much as last night and this morning, still looking at ourselves. You know, typically you play a game, you do your all your all-season study where you get an idea of things that a team's going to do to work on. You know, a lot of times you really don't get going until Sunday afternoon or Monday morning, you know, with your game plan. So we didn't throw, you know, we had a chance to, again, look at recruiting, look at getting some guys well, look at some young guy work and bringing some of our young players along. But we really just, again, what are some things we need to emphasize we can get better? So, you know, whether they're dying, again, we had a light practice yesterday that was pretty energetic. You know, sometimes you take an off period of time and you come back and you might want to say, okay, we really got to go out and practice hard because they've just had an off day. We think we're kind of far enough into it. We try to stay with the normal routine and use Tuesday and Wednesday as our quality work days. And so we had a normal Sunday, and there was a lot of balance and energy last night. Hopefully it'll build through the week because with homecoming and November, 5-game stretch, 3 at home, you want to have some energy, and you don't want it on Sunday night. You want it Saturday at 3:30. And I guess they just, what they said, our Illinois games, the next 2 weeks will be going at 3:30 or 3:42, whatever that magic time the Big Ten tells us is.
You talked about identifying things that you had to work on. What did you really feel that you needed to work on?
Well, again, you go, okay, let's start offensively. You know, you guys think we're pretty good. Well, we were 108th in the country in interceptions thrown. Now we moved ourselves up to a whopping 97th. And you say, well, we throw the ball out. Well, look at teams like A&M and Houston and Oregon. It's the state that's throwing for 440, it's throwing for 100 yards more than we are, and got about 6 or 7 less picks. And here's the guy at Oregon throwing for 300 a game with no picks. And so when you're a team and you're trying to get wins, your margin of error isn't quite as great to overcome a lot of negatives. We got a lot to work on. So we looked at that. You know, when you say interceptions, you think, well, that's quarterback. Well, we had one the other day in practice was on an offensive tackle, because his ability to do what he needed to do caused us to get a pass deflected because he didn't execute a scheme right. And an unblocked guy gets his hand on his ball because we had an MA. So it's not always just the guy delivering the ball. You know, it's timing, it's run game. You got some run game going, you got balance, you got play action, all those things. I think in the red zone, you know, we're completing like 52 or 53% of our passes. We're down there scoring. And so, you know, 3rd and 1, 2, and 3, I think we're like 51% of our passes. And you think we're this really good, these guys throw the ball well. Well, when do you, like I said last year, when in competitive situations, how good really are you? When we've got the lead by 1 to 7 points, we've thrown 39 balls, we've completed 19. It's 47%. We got the lead, our defense has got us the ball. You got this really good offense. Well, let's go really good offense. Now we're just average enough to keep them in the game, lose momentum, and then start playing behind. So there's a lot of things we worked on just in conversions, ball security, and how to be aggressive. We did the same thing defensively. You know, look at the number of last couple games of 3rd downs that we got that we've let them off the field. You know, Michigan State made, 8, 9, 10 in a row. I think Michigan scored 3 of their touchdowns on 3rd downs, and several times we have an unblocked guy there to make a play. So you want to change the scheme, well, they won't let us put 12 out there. We got a guy 3, and he's there to make the tackle. Hey, shoot your gun and make the play, get him on the ground. So we just went through talking about conversions, how to keep the ball, creating some more turnovers, some fundamentals of tackling, and really didn't over-practice. These are some short things we want to concentrate on to see if we can be even stronger down the stretch. We're going to be in some close games. We have a chance to be in some exciting games if we play well, and now how to find a way to make that play or two to get over the hump. And that's what we looked at.
You mentioned fundamentals of tackling, basically. Is there anything that stands out to you as, you know, are a bunch of guys doing the same things wrong, or is it different for every guy, or just what kind of stood out to you as just why?
I think a little different for every guy, and kind of maybe a hard question to say because I guess every situation is different. But to me, the more aggressive you are, the more assertive you are, you got a chance. And so that's one of the things we talked about our guys, again, I think our offense is a lot better when it's on its toes instead of its heels. I think the same thing defensively. I think the team we're playing this week plays very well coming at you. They get their running game coming at you. They have their misdirection stuff they do with their fly sweep. Their defense, is really active, and I think a lot better than most people think. They're really pretty fundamentally good and active, but they're aggressive. And so, we talked about some fundamentals, but you're at a point in the year with some of these guys beat up that some of the hitting work you end up doing with the guys that don't play. And the guys that really need it, they're kind of hit enough. How much do you hit them? So we've worked a lot on how to get better fundamentally without beating ourselves up. And that's the tough dilemma at this time of year. We got to get so much better blocking and tackling. But yet, this is technically our 10th week, not counting our preseason of 3 or 4. So you're 14 weeks into it. And you got some bodies that are getting a little, smashed up a little bit, beaten and bruised. They're not hurt, but beaten. And we got a couple guys out, but everybody does. So how do we keep pushing? How do we keep the energy? How do we keep the effort? How do we keep building toughness? And by the way, don't cross the line and over practice and beat your guys up. So we looked at drills. I actually watched our guys do some drills, and I suggested, not that I have all the answers by any means, but I go, the way you're doing the drill is do less and do it harder because you're not doing it at the speed you play with. So instead of getting a lot of reps and doing it at a pace that's not true game speed, slow the guy down, make it more of a quality rep and make it more kind of true realistic. So a guy feels how to break down, how to make a competitive. We always tell receivers, don't run plays in practice on air at a certain speed because you're really messing with the timing of the quarterback. And he feels where you're going to be. I kind of need that Saturday 340 speed so I know when to let that curl and slant and go ball go. And so to me, we're at a point where, less is more, but don't practice wrong and don't have poor practice. So, we've talked a lot too about working hard. We talked about mentally and emotionally working hard. When you're not going, or how hard are you really going? Are you just sitting here, or how hard are you really going when you're not going? Because you're at the point physically, we got to be smart with these guys to keep some energy and speed. But we're challenging our guys how to think a little differently, because I think we're a little farther along. A couple years ago, we were just smashing heads together and trying to see who was tough and who wanted to hit and could we get them tougher. Now we kind of know what we are. How do we make them better? So we're challenging our guys to work hard, and it's not just physically out there smashing heads working hard. It's getting calls right and having an urgency to get it right, and having the body language of playing offense and defense and kicking better. So we'll see if we're mature enough to get it, but those are some things we hit last week. We took a lot off some players, but we asked them, can you practice as hard as you've ever practiced without physically doing as much? And that means mentally, how much you practice versus you're just sitting back over here watching. So we'll see if we've gained this week. I think we had a good open date. We'll see.